Hi everybody. I'm in Salinas at a different place. Isn't it a wonderful view? Some guy with a wheelbarrow. I gotta go right over there later on tonight and get loaded, but I was going to try to do chapter 7. Now chapter 7 of 1 Corinthians at the very least is a puzzle for me. It was I can read it to you. To tell you I understand everything in this chapter, I really don't. But let's just get in it and go from there, and maybe we can learn a little something anyway. And what is going on is evidently the Corinthians had written Paul and asked him several questions, and in chapter 7 of Corinthians he's going to attempt to answer those questions. And so let's just get right in it. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence. I think that means love. Let's see. 7:3, affection. He says, yeah, love or affection. And likewise, also the wife unto the husband. Now remember, we're talking about, he's writing to Corinthians, and this was a corrupt pagan society. Knew nothing about the law, and they were very adulterous people. At this time, they were a Roman province. They were Greeks, but when he's writing to them, Rome had taken over, and Rome was a very sinful place, and obviously so was Corinth. So he's talking about, fornication and things of that nature. And if you're going to do that, be married. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband, and likewise the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one another. I'm thinking that's saying don't commit adultery, but let's look at what this Thomas Nelson has to say about defraud. Every time you see that one, it gives you an alternate word. So I'm just going to look it up. Right down here, 7:5. Deprive. Don't deprive them. Okay, I don't have as much strength as the King James does it. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time. If you're going to abstain from sexual relations, you got to put a time limit on it, evidently, and with consent, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. But I speak this by permission and not of commandment. In other words, he's not commanding them, but he has liberty in the Spirit of God to teach what he's fixing to teach you. For I would that all men were even as I myself. I believe, everything I can read, Paul was probably a widower, but he didn't get married again, so he's wanting everybody to be like himself. But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I, single he's talking about. But if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. Now that's not talking about burn in hell, that's talking about burn with lust. But let's just, for the heck of it, see what they say. 9. Exercise self-control. Okay. And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. So this is coming directly from Jesus. Let not the wife depart from her husband, but as if she depart, let her remain unmarried, and be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife. Wow. I think we're up to 50% divorce rate in America right now. It's ridiculous. People put them away for, just because they have an argument or something. But to the rest speak I not the Lord. So this is not given by God. This is what he's saying. As an apostle, we should listen to it, though. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. This is talking about a saved person and an unsaved person. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now they are holy. To say I understand what that's talking about, I mean, I get it. They're set apart by the believing husband or wife, and your children are not unclean, they're holy. So I mean, I don't know, I don't understand that totally myself, so I'm just going to leave it as it is written. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. Brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace. So if the unbelieving guy says, no, I can't put up with your Christianity, and leaves, let him go. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? I think that's saying, how would you know if you could lead them to the Lord at some point? How would you know unless you stay with them? But as God hath distributed to every man, as the Lord hath called every one, so let him walk, and so ordain I in all the churches. So he's ordaining this to every church, not just to us. So it's to us. All of this is to us. Is any man called being circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Is any man called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing but the keeping of the commandments of God. Let every man abide in the same calling wherein he is called. Not everybody's called to be a teacher. Not everybody's called to be a preacher. Not everybody's called to be a pastor or a bishop. And some are called to be evangelists. Your gifts might be in dealing with children, dealing with old people, being a nurse, whatever your gift is, whatever God called you to do, and only you and God know that. Sometimes only God knows that. And just follow and stay in your calling is what I'm thinking that's saying right there. Art thou called being a servant? Care not for it. But if thou mayest be made free, use it rather. There were slaves, folks. There were slaves all through the Bible. It's not a 19th century phenomenon, and it's not only been black people that have been slaves. Actually, the word slave comes from Slav, the Slavic people, and they were white. And they were taken slave by Muslims, black Muslims, the Moors. So it's not always been just the black folks that were made slaves. The Hebrew slaves, of course, built the pyramids and stuff, in my opinion. For he that is called in the Lord, being a servant, is the Lord's free man. Likewise also he that is called being free is Christ's servant. We are all Christ's servants. We are slaves to God. If you're bought with a price, ye are bought. Well, there you go. Well, ye are bought with a price. Be not ye the servants of men. And I wrote down 1 Corinthians 6:20, and I'll go ahead and look at that real quick. Let's start with 19. What, know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own, for ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in the body and in the spirit, which are God's. So we are of the Lord. Brethren, let every man wherein he is called therein abide with God. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgment as one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord, to be faithful. I suppose therefore that this is good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man to be so. It's good to be a virgin, evidently. Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Are thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. And if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh, but I spare you. Again, Corinthians was a real carnal, real fleshly, all about, fornication and stuff. So that's what he's talking about. And they that weep as though they weep not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. So you can work in this world, you got to live in this world, you have to support your family. But don't abuse it. Don't take advantage of people. I think that's what he's trying to say. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he that is married careth for the things of the world, and how he may please his wife. If you've been married as long as I do, you know you have to please your wife. I get what he's saying there. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin. Now, I think this is talking about the father to the daughter here. At least that's what the commentaries I was reading said. If she pass the flower of her age, and need so require, let him do what he will, he sinneth not, let them marry. Nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but hath power over his own will, and hath so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, doeth well. Again, I think that's talking about the father to the daughter, and in that manner. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth, but if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. So if you were married to an unbeliever, he dies, and you want to marry again, you can only marry a saved person, is what he's saying. But she is happier if she so abide after my judgments, and I think also that I have the Spirit of God. Phew! That's 1 Corinthians chapter 7. Again, I told you at the beginning when I started this, if I don't understand something totally, I'm not just going to try to force my opinions on you. But that's what the book says, and it'd be good to study that out for yourself. May the Lord bless each and every one of you. I've got to go back to work now, and we'll get into 1 Corinthians chapter 8 next time. I love you, and God bless those of you that have watched all these. I really, really appreciate it. I'm not taking that for granted at all. And read these Bibles, folks, and pray without ceasing. And may the Lord bless everybody on the other side of the screen.